Hello guys, welcome back to TFD with another banger with Cordy. All right, y'all, let's get right into it. Sydney Colson just dropped a bombshell exposing the wave of hate that came her way the moment she decided to join Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. This is crazy, man. We all knew there was jealousy. We all knew there was bitterness toward Caitlin Clark and the Fever, but hearing it from a veteran like Sydney Colson just hits different. She's been around this league for years, and even she couldn't believe the level of negativity that surrounds Caitlin Clark's name. From the start, Caitlin Clark has been a target, not just by players, but by teams, officials, and even league figures. You could see it in the way games were called, and the physical play, and the silence from people who should have spoken up. Kathy Engelbert and the referees, they've got some explaining to do because what Caitlin Clark went through in her first 2 years was bigger than just rookie treatment. It was intentional. And now with Sydney Colson stepping into that locker room and witnessing it firsthand, she's confirming what fans have been saying all along. Sydney Colson didn't sugarcoat it either. She's calling out how toxic the environment has been, not just toward Caitlin Clark, but also toward Aaliyah Boston. She made it clear that there's a lot of dirty politics happening behind the curtain. And honestly, that doesn't surprise anyone who's been paying attention. The WNBA preaches unity, but behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. And here's the thing, I'm not even sure Sydney Colson will be on the Fever roster next season, at least not as a player. But that's what makes her honesty even more powerful. She's got nothing to lose, and she's telling the truth. You can tell she's fed up with the hypocrisy and tired of watching players get torn down just because of who they are or who they play with. So yeah, man, shout out to Sydney Colson for speaking up. It takes courage to stand up against the hate, especially when it's coming from your own league. Let's get into what she actually said, because once you hear her words, you'll understand why so many people are finally waking up to what Caitlin Clark and the Fever have really been dealing with.
Whether I'm playing, we want things to look like what we want them to look like. And I knew coming into this season, once people started talking, once I was here and experiencing it, like, people had a lot to say. There was a lot of negativity coming my way, and I just looked at it like, I'm not used to this. Typically, I'm the person that people are just like, oh, we love Sid, that's funny, blah blah blah. Some people be like, not funny, and I'm like, they don't have a sense of humor. But like, for the most part. For the most part, people have.
All right, let's talk about it, because Sydney Colson really opened up in a way that a lot of people didn't expect. She said something real, that for the most part, people have liked her. People have admired her from the outside. But that's never been the reason she does what she does. She's always been herself, funny, confident, authentic, and that's what makes her stand out. But when she decided to make that move to join Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, the reaction from certain corners of the WNBA fan base got real ugly real fast. Let's be honest, most of that hate came from A'ja Wilson fans. Yeah, I said it. A'ja's fans can be incredibly defensive and territorial. The moment Sydney announced she was leaving the Las Vegas Aces and heading to Indiana, they started losing it, acting like she betrayed them or something, when in reality, she was never a core player on that team. Let's keep it real. She's been more of a locker room leader, a team chemistry booster, someone who keeps the vibe light and positive. But on the court, she wasn't dropping 20 points or locking up all-stars. That's just facts. Sydney even mentioned how some fans couldn't take a joke or see the humor in her personality anymore once she joined Caitlin Clark. Suddenly, the same people who used to love her for being funny and relatable started acting like she switched sides. It's wild. All she did was join another team, but because that team has Caitlin Clark, the most talked about player in women's basketball, suddenly it's a problem. And that's where the insecurity really shows. A lot of A'ja Wilson fans couldn't stand the idea of Sydney being around Caitlin, laughing with her, supporting her, or even just being in the same locker room. They made it about loyalty, when really, it's just basketball. But to them, it's deeper. They see Caitlin Clark as a threat, not just to A'ja Wilson's spotlight, but to the fan base narrative they've built around dominance and popularity. At the end of the day, Sydney Colson doesn't owe anybody anything. She made her move, she's happy, and she's standing on it. The hate just proves one thing. Some folks can't handle change, especially when it involves Caitlin Clark in the Fever's growing power.
Have liked me and have admired me from the outside, but that's never made me do the things I do. Like, I do the things that I do because I enjoy my teammates, because I like comedy, because I like whatever I'm doing, not for other people's approval. So once I got here and was experiencing people's disapproval, it didn't really faze me because I still understood. I think I understood even more so that this is definitely a part of my plan. When people get to not liking you for no reason, I'm probably exactly where I need to be. So once the injury happened, I'm like, once again, this is something that I don't fully get, but this must be where I need to be, sidelined. And it made me an even more vocal leader. It made me pay attention to things maybe that I wasn't paying attention to that other people had going on, so I could be more tapped into if they're having a hard time and I need to come over here and help them out, whether it's mental, physical, whatever. I had to get outside of me. And that was the lesson that I learned in this. I hope it's the one that God wanted me to learn, but yeah, it was just one of those things that nobody wants that to happen, but you still have to move forward and figure out a way to still be, of service to your team.
All right. Now, that was Sydney Colson addressing some of the hate and backlash she got from fans. But hold on, y'all. We're just getting started. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff. This is where things get real. We're about to talk about how players, not fans, not media, actual WNBA players are feeling about Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and others on the Indiana Fever. Because what Sydney is revealing here, it's eye-opening. Let's be real. A lot of these players were flat out jealous that Sydney Colson went and joined the Fever. It wasn't just a basketball move, it was a statement. She decided to align herself with Caitlin Clark and a young, hungry squad that's clearly becoming the face of the league. And that didn't sit right with a lot of people. Some of these veterans and even some role players around the league can't stand the fact that Indiana, once a struggling team, is suddenly the most talked about franchise in the WNBA, all because of Caitlin Clark. Here's the truth. A lot of these players want to be part of the Caitlin Clark show. They just aren't welcome. They want that spotlight, that attention, that fan love, but it's not for them right now. The league is shifting, and it's centered around Indiana, and that's driving some of these players crazy. They'll never admit it publicly, but behind the scenes, it's jealousy and bitterness at an all-time high. Sydney Colson pulled the curtain back a little bit and let people know just how negative and nasty some of the attitudes in this league really are. It's not all sisterhood and empowerment like they make it seem. There are cliques, there's shade, and there's a lot of resentment toward players like Aaliyah Boston, who are thriving next to Caitlin Clark. And, to be fair, not every player is like that. There are some who respect the Fever and what they're building. But make no mistake, there's a large group that can't stand seeing this team rise so fast. They can't stand seeing the spotlight shift away from their favorites. So yeah, this next part, this is where Sydney starts calling out that energy directly. Let's listen to what she had to say about these hating, negative, and straight-up salty WNBA players, because she didn't hold back one bit.
How would you say that? As you know, AB has... People feel a way about AB in the league, and without me playing on a team with her and getting to know her faith, like the kind of person that she is, I'm the kind of person that I experience people for myself. I don't just listen to things that other people say. I'll have stuff in mind, of course. I think it would be silly to not, keep in mind what you've heard, but I have to experience what I have to experience. And being on this team, it was definitely a good time. I love Steph, I love our assistants. The organization treated me very well, and yeah, it was good. I wanted to be somewhere where I could, play some more. And obviously my season ended in an unexpected fashion, but still getting to be around the team and us making it almost to the finals was very cool. It was very cool.
All right, that's exactly what Sid said. And she couldn't have said it any better. You can't tell somebody how to feel about another person. Everybody's experience is their own. The way you deal with somebody might not be the same way I deal with them. Just because you had a bad moment or didn't vibe with them doesn't mean I have to adopt your feelings. And that's what Sydney Colson was trying to make clear. She's like, look, I'll listen to what you have to say, I'll keep it in mind, but I'm not about to judge somebody based on your experience. That's real talk right there. Now, here's where things get interesting. Sydney started to realize that once she joined Aaliyah and got to know her personally, the narrative she had heard didn't match up at all. She was like, hold up. The person y'all keep talking about behind closed doors, that's not the Aaliyah Boston I see every day. She's saying, I see a teammate who's kind, focused, and carries herself with nothing but class. And that's when it hit her. A lot of the negativity toward Aaliyah isn't about who she really is. It's about what she represents and who she's close to. Let's keep it real. A lot of players and people in the league don't like Aaliyah Boston simply because she's tight with Caitlin Clark. That's the truth. If Aaliyah was on another team, like the Dallas Wings or Atlanta Dream, nobody would be talking down on her. She'd just be another solid big out of South Carolina. Respected, but not targeted. But because she's on the Fever, because she's linked with Caitlin Clark, suddenly folks got an issue. And what's wild is Aaliyah doesn't even do anything to anybody. She's not messy, she's not controversial. She just goes out there, plays her game, and uplifts her team. But people will find a reason to hate when you're winning, especially when you're aligned with someone that the media and fans spotlight as much as Caitlin. So yeah, Sydney Colson basically said what a lot of people were afraid to admit. Some of this hate isn't about personality, it's about jealousy and proximity to success. But hey, that's just how it goes sometimes. Anyway, drop your thoughts down below. Do you agree with Sydney's take? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video for more WNBA updates.